Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Festivus for the rest of us. This year we will be dispensing with the annual airing of the grievances to jump right into the next episode of A Moment of Tiki, a very Tiki Bob Christmas. Now you'll want to stay tuned because I am going to tell you in a little bit how to get your very own Tiki Bob ornament for free from me to you in the spirit of the holiday giving. So let me give you some backstory on how this episode came to be. When we first got into Tiki, several years ago, we were invited by some of our friends in our Tiki circles to an ornament exchange in December. Being new to the group and somewhat unacquainted with a lot of them, wanted to make a good impression. I couldn't think of a good ornament to exchange. So my wife, being the clever person that she is, suggested that I carve some tiki ornaments. And I did. And they were very crude. I look back on them today and think, wow, that's not really super great. But they were a big hit at the ornament exchange. So the next year we did it, I got a little more ambitious. I did one ornament that was styled in the kind of Hawaiian carving style, and another that was styled after an Easter Island moai head. And these were even bigger hits. So this year, with coronavirus forcing separation, forcing social distancing, and preventing us from having any of these much-loved get-togethers among our circle of friends, I decided that I was going to make ornaments for each of them, not just have some individual exchanges. I was going to gift some ornaments. But what to do? Well, I settled on Tiki Bob. Now, I'm the first to admit that I'm not the greatest Tiki Bob fan. Tiki Bob is one of the oldest Tiki mascots, originating at the aptly named Tiki Bob's Tiki Bar in San Francisco. Tiki Bob is unique in that he kind of got feral and went out into the wild and public domain after Tiki Bob's closed in the 1970s and has been riffed upon by many different artists ever since. Tiki Bob is a very simple, straightforward design, although I can tell you from experience it's not that easy to execute effectively. So I decided I would make Tiki Bob ornaments for our friends to give away. But not only that, I decided to make 3 extras. 3, count them 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 that I will give away to you lucky listeners out there. So, all you have to do is stick around to the end of the video, see how Tiki Bob ornaments were created, and then you'll find out 3 different ways you can get your own. So let's see how this transpired. The first wood I ever power carved was Montezuma cypress. I found a nice branch laying on the side of a river during a camping trip with my son. Since then, I've started using mountain juniper, ash juniper specifically. Around here it's called cedar, colloquial term. It's an aromatic wood. It grows abundantly in the hill country, and because there is a lot of development in this area, a lot of subdivisions, a lot of new homes going up, there is an abundance of the ash juniper being removed. And all I have to do is go to some of these brush piles and select a likely piece of wood and take it home, and there you go. It's an abundant supply, and I think it carves really nicely. It's not terribly soft, but it's not really hard either, like an oak, so it isn't terribly difficult on my tools. But it holds form and it doesn't really tear out or shred or go mushy on me very much. So I really like it, and the branches are nice size for ornaments. I take the ash juniper branches and cut them into an appropriate length for an ornament that I'm going to carve to hang onto a tree. Generally about 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches. The branch is about 1 inch thick, so that's a 4-to-1 ratio. The first step is to remove all the bark. It has a fibrous, stringy bark, and I can use a sander to get that off, but I'd rather reserve the sander for smoothing everything out and removing the cambium. So I use this Solingen chip carving knife, which is really nice. My brother got it for me quite a few years ago. It's very sharp. Keep it sharp. It's a nice German carving knife. And I use that. It's real easy just to take that initial layer of bark off. Works really well, really quick. Nice and clean. The final preparatory step before I start carving in earnest is removal of the cambium level. That is the living growth layer. It's right below the bark and it can flake and peel, so I like to get that removed down to the hardwood underneath, and for that I use a power sander with 80 grit sandpaper.
Belt sanders aren't as dangerous as power saws, but when using one to remove the cambium layer of wood, be careful of your fingers. The rough paper can quickly give you a nasty scrape. Rotate the wood blank as you go to ensure a nice, even removal of the unwanted layers and to prevent the wood from getting too hot to comfortably handle.
Now, the first step in turning one of these blanks into the ornament with the carving is to sketch out the pattern on it to work as a guide. So just regular pencil, and I begin by making an oval, and you want the oval to be fairly even on all sides, symmetrical oval. Get that done, then you sketch in, draw the nose, start with the base, go up either side, place the eyes, and last is the mouth. The mouth, it's fairly straight curve in a smile, but it's got the little flip at the end on either side. And there you have it, sketched out marks for which to guide your carving. So now we start with the power carving. For this, initially I'm using this cutting bit. It's a mid-size round cutting bit. I have larger ones and smaller ones. I use the smaller ones for fine detail, the larger ones for hogging out more wood. But for this, I'm just going to go outline marks, the pattern that I made, and this will do just fine.
I used the Dremel to carve the outlines of the pattern. Don't try to take out too much material with one pass. Multiple light passes are more accurate and easier to control. To remove a lot of material, I use Dremel's 1/17 bit, which is a flared cone with a rounded end. It quickly carves away wood at various angles and leaves a fairly smooth finish behind.
With the rough likeness of the face carved in, it's time to add the decorations, the ornamentation that separates this from just a regular Tiki Bob carving into a holiday ornament, a Christmas ornament. So what I do is just take the pencil and draw it in. For this, I am using that traditional kind of pagan holiday solstice symbol, a holly with berries. It's effective at conveying the season, and it also happens to be fairly easy to carve.
For the holly and berries, I use a small ball cutter to carve out the details. When I say details, I mean a series of curved lines. These can be shallow cuts since they'll be painted once all is said and done.
One issue with designing a Tiki Bob ornament is there are multiple steps that require intermediate steps before you can get to them, especially with the design. For example, most Tiki Bobs have the motif pretext design element where they look like they are carved from an actual palm log, little growth rings along there. In order to do that, put this on here first, I had to cut out the nose, the face, and then input all of the holly designs before I could go through and mark in the growth rings for the palm tree. So that's what I'm doing now. Now for carving the really fine detail on Bob, which includes the tree growth rings to simulate him being carved out of a palm, I use a Dremel 108 bit. This is like, as far as I can tell, the smallest cutter they have. It's a tiny little cone and it just slices really fine. This is the new version. It's got a real short squat profile. They used to make one that had almost 1/4 of an inch, very thin neck on it before you got to the cutter, and I really liked that because it allowed me to get deep into grooves and cut very fine lines, and you can't really do that with this, but you know, this is still a very useful cutter.
Once I am finished with the primary carving, I run an abrasive wheel over the ornament. The wheel isn't as aggressive as sandpaper, but it's able to get burrs and bits of tear out that sandpaper can't reach. I apply a coat of Minwax gunstock wood stain to the ornament. The red tones work well for the Tiki Bob aesthetic. Once the stain has set for 5 to 10 minutes, I wipe away the excess and let dry for 24 hours. The next step is to apply a coat of boiled linseed oil by simply wiping it on. This will soak into the wood and protect it from drying out. Be sure to dispose of any rags with linseed oil on them properly. After the linseed oil has cured for several days, I follow up with a coat of dewaxed shellac. This is effectively a universal finish that bonds with most other finishes. Once the dewaxed shellac is fully cured, I give it several days, although it is dried to the touch after just a few minutes. I start applying acrylic paint to the details. First, I paint the holly leaves green. Next are the red berries. I use acrylic paint because it's water-based and easy to mix and clean up. It also plays nice with the various finishes I use. My initial coats of white were splotchy and uneven. I solved this by mixing 2 parts white to 1 part tan paint. This gave me just enough pigments to achieve the opacity I needed for Bob's face. The final step was to apply black to Tiki Bob's eyes and mouth. The eyes were fairly easy. The slit of the mouth was less easy. I used a narrow brush to color his mouth, wiping away the excess with paint and a damp cloth. To make my Tiki Bob carving into an ornament, I needed some way to hang him. First, I used my power drill with a narrow bit to drill a 1/8 inch hole deep into the top of Bob's head. Then I took a screw eye, the smallest I could find at the local hardware store, and simply twisted it into place. It should screw in easily, yet firmly. If it is difficult to twist in, drill the hole wider. Although the screw eyes are metal, they can still snap, leaving you with a hole in your ornament half filled with broken metal. Once the eye is in place, add the ornament hook. I added a final top coat of dewaxed shellac and then hung the ornaments to cure.
Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that interesting? Aren't you inspired to go out and make your own Tiki Bob ornament or Tiki ornament of your own design? Well, if not, I'm going to tell you now how you can go about getting your own Tiki Bob ornament from me to you for free. First way is here on YouTube. Check out the comments below. In the show notes, I will have the complete show rules because, as YouTube likes us to say, they are not affiliated with this in any way. But all you have to do to enter to win your very own Tiki Bob ornament is to hit the subscribe button, subscribe, and then leave a comment below. Leave a comment after you've subscribed. That's all you have to do. From now until noon on Christmas Day, you can subscribe and leave your comments and tell your friends to do the same, at which point I will randomly pick one of the subscribers' comments in the comments below, and that person will be getting their very own Tiki Bob ornament. But wait, there's more. Not only can you enter to win here, you have two other chances. One is via my Instagram account. There will be a link below in the show notes, Lagoon of Mystery. All you have to do is go to the Instagram account and find the contest post, and that will have the rules explained how to enter to win a Tiki Bob ornament there. The third way, 1, 2, 3, not 1, not 2, but 3, the third way to get your Tiki Bob ornament is go over to the Facebook and find my Moment of Tiki group. There will be a link, as before, down in the show notes to take you right to it. All you have to do is join the group, and joining requires you to answer one simple question. I have faith in you. You can do it. And find the post that has the contest rules there. Very simple, very straightforward. 3 chances to win. 3 Tiki Bob ornaments going out to you folks in internet land. So I hope you've had fun watching how I created these ornaments. I hope you have fun and wish you luck in winning and giving one of these guys a home. And from me to you, Mele Kalikimaka, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and aloha until next time.